Hi boys and girls, today we're going to be having a look at doing some subtracting in year one, and we are going to look at the different stages because there are several different stages that we learn in year one on how to subtract, and you could even teach your parents some of these at home, and if you want to move on to the next stage you can, or if you're finding that stage a little challenging you can move back a stage. So these are the stages of subtraction in year one. We are going to start out with our number sentence, which is 13 minus or take away or subtract 5. 13 take away 5 equals. Now the first step of this is that you are going to use physical objects. So these might be around your house. Remember to ask if you're using them. They might be Smarties, fruit pastels, bananas, apples, anything that you've got, but you need to have the whole, and in this case our whole is 13, so you need to have 13 of your objects. You're going to physically count out the objects, and I'd like you to count them out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And then you are going to take away, physically take them away, or block or cover up 5 of these objects. And we're taking away 5 because that is the part that we need to take away. So I'm going to take away 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've taken away 5 of those objects, and then I'm going to count the remaining ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got 8 remaining objects. So my answer is 8. Now, if you find that step easy and it's not particularly challenging, you can move on to our second step. Now, with our second step, we are going to draw them out. So we're not going to use physical objects, we're going to draw out the objects. I'm going to draw circles for mine, so I'm drawing out my circles, and I'm going to count them as I draw them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And then I'm going to cross these out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm crossing out 5 because that is the part that I need to take away. So I've crossed out 5 and I'm going to count those remaining circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. My answer is 8. Now, if you find that quite easy, you can move on to the third step. And the third step is very much the same. You're going to draw out your circles to represent your whole, but at the same time you're going to draw out a number line. And our number line represents our abstract numbers, so the things that can't physically be taken away. So here's our number line. It goes from 0 to 13. And I'm going to start at that whole, that first number in our subtraction sentence. Okay, and it is really good if you can see the correspondence, so the relationship between my picture here and my number line. And you count backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, my answer is 8. We're going to count back in ones there, just as we crossed out in ones. If you find that quite easy, you can move on to the next step, which is the fourth step. Now in this step, you're going to draw those circles out again, and they're going to be the whole, so I'm drawing out 13 circles. But this time, instead of crossing them out one at a time, I am going to draw a rectangle around the part I want to take away, which in this case is 5. So I've taken away 5. I've drawn a rectangle around the 5, and then I'm going to count those remaining circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I know that I've taken away 5. 13 is made of a part of 8 and 5. If you find that quite easy and quite simple, you can move on to the next stage, which is the fifth stage. And again, we're going to be using that number line. So we're going to draw out our circles and do our rectangle around our 5 again, but at the same time we're going to have our number line there, and our number line matches our circles. So I can see without having to count or anything that actually I've taken away up to 8. So I've taken away 5 and my line goes up to 8, and you can see how they correspond there. You can almost predict this, so you could draw a rectangle around 8 and the answer would be 5. Or you could draw a rectangle around 2 and the answer would be 11. Okay, so use your number line in correlation so they correspond, they match with your picture that you have drawn of your circles. Our last step is our trickiest step. I would expect everyone to have a go at this step, but only if they were able to do the previous steps. So our sixth step is where we would be able to partition our number. So we should be able to partition 13 into 10 and 3. We know that 13 is made of 1 10 and 3 1s. If you are struggling with that, don't do this step. Go back and work on the partitioning of your teen numbers into 10s and 1s. For example, 15 is partitioned into 10 and 5. So 1 10 and 5 1s. 19 is partitioned into 1 10 and 9 1s. Okay, so if you are struggling with that, don't do this step. Practice that first and then come to this step. However, if you're comfortable with that, move on to this sixth step. So you're partitioning that whole number into 10 and into 10s and 1s, so that's 10 and 3. Now we've got our number line. We're at 13. So we know if we take away that 3, we're going to make it to 10, which is great because we know our number bonds to 10. So I take away that 3 first, there. Okay, and I know because I can partition 5 because that's what I did in reception and the beginning of year 1. We went over that as well. I know that my 5 partitions into 3 and 2. So I've already taken away the 3 and I've only got the 2 left over, which takes me to 8. And I know that because I know my number bonds to 10, and 2 and 8 make 10. So you are partitioning that number, jump back to 10 and then jump back the rest of the number. That is the trickiest step, but if you are comfortable with the rest of the steps, then I would really recommend practicing that step with lots and lots of different teen numbers. For example, 16 take away 8, and see those jumps and make sure you're partitioning the numbers. Those are the subtraction steps in year 1, and I would be expecting everybody by the end of year 1 to have a go at the 6th step and be able to reasonably come up with an answer that they could reason. Thank you.